Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 64 of Build Your Stash and Craft. This week we are going to make Flower Soft, or a rendition of it, and it's just a cool little mixed media item that you can use on all sorts of projects. You can use it on flowers, on cards, in your mixed media. And so we'll just go ahead and get started making it. In the last video I had said that sometimes I'm going to use things from the house this year, but I forgot to tell you when I told you what we're going to need for next week, which is now this week. I forgot to tell you what those things were. And what we're really going to need is a dryer sheet and a plate, other than what we purchased for this week. So and what we are going to do is we are going to turn our styrofoam balls into basically a powder, and then we're going to color it with our alcohol inks. I'm going to show you how to turn this into a color, how to grind it, and then I'm going to go off and do the whole bag. I've already got one done, and one bag full will give you 4 half a containers full of powder. So, but the way to start is use your dryer sheet, rub it on your hands. Just kind of give your ball a quick wipe, because this is very staticky. And then wipe your plate and wipe the surface around you. That just kind of will help your powder to stay on your plate versus it staticking all over the place. Now the way to turn this into a powder, and this is the easiest way, we do have our file that we got for the chalk paint. I tried that. It really doesn't work as well. So all you need is 2 pieces of styrofoam, and you're just going to rub them together. Now I know this is going to drive some people crazy, which is why I said that I would go off and do all of it off the camera. But I do have a couple things to show you. As you're rubbing, sometimes they'll both go the same, and sometimes one will get a lot smaller than the other. And if you have one that starts getting smaller, then basically what you're going to do is you're just going to keep turning that one until you finish it. And then go on with another piece and get another ball, and then work on the one that's not. See, this one's getting smaller than this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to the side and just start doing it. The outside always seems to do easier than the inside. And I apologize for the noise, but I can't help it. This may be something you don't want to do because of the noise. It doesn't bother me so much in person, but I think if I had to watch it on a video, it might drive me crazy. So I'm just going to keep turning it and turning it. And you want to have nice small pieces. So you don't want to like gouge at your other piece and try and get big chunks. You don't want big chunks. You just want the finest you can get. It will have some pieces that are bigger than others, and that's okay. And when you get right down to the very final last little bit, if you can't get it fairly small, then just set it aside. So, and I really mean like the last little bit. Okay, now this one is now a lot smaller than this one, but this one is now starting to grind again because the center of these seems to be a little harder. I really kind of wanted to at least get down to the end of one piece so I could show you how to finish it off. But you can also use this with your twine, and you put a little glue on the end of your twine and make flower stamen. You can use it on a card if you've stamped some flowers, like our pretty fill-in flowers, our color stamps that we have. Those would be really cute to put some of this, put a little glue on the flowers, or the butterflies, and then put this on the glue. Well, they're both fighting, and neither wants to be the smallest first. So, you know, I'm getting kind of like some big bits here on the edges. I don't want those to get too big. So I'm going to take them off there before they get to be big chunks. You can go like this on the side, and it will kind of put a dent And this one here is getting a dent. But when you start to get that dent, then you want to make sure and get these outer edges off so that they don't wind up being great big pieces. And you really can get it right down to the end. And sometimes you just have like a piece that's maybe like 1/4 of an inch big. And you don't want that in with the rest. Sometimes you can get all of it. Okay, now this piece right here, it's not really, it just keeps bending in my fingers. I don't want that in with the rest, so I'm going to take that out. This piece right here is a little bit big, and that's about as big as you want it. Okay, so now we haven't finished this one, so we just grab another one. And it doesn't matter which one, and just start all over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this whole bag, and then I will be back and I'll show you how to color it. Okay, I'm back, and I have ground up all of our styrofoam, and then I got about 1/2 of a bowl for 7 different bowls. I'm going to do red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and I want to try brown. I'm not going to open a bunch of these all at one time because if I do, I'll spill them. And so all you're going to do is you have to use your alcohol colors, or well, actually, that's what I've always used. Wait a minute. I've had such a hard time making these drip. I'm going to make it drip this way because I just want a few drips. You can always add more. But you can't take it away. Put the top back on there. And then all you do is just mix it together. Now where you've got the purple, that color has stuck right into the styrofoam there. So you just take some of the colored styrofoam and kind of squish it against the white styrofoam. And it kind of squishes out from where it's pulled up inside. Like that little bunch right there has a whole bunch of purple dye in it. So if I do like that, it will turn that white purple. And then you're just going to do that until you get the whole thing mixed up. Now, you will have a few little white bits here and there. The longer you mix it, the less white bits that you'll have. If you have big white chunks and you want to take those out, you can. I do like to have a little bit of white because it's not just a solid color. I prefer to have that little bit of white in there to give it some contrast. There's a big chunk right there that you may think that you don't have enough color in there, but make sure that you've mixed it for a bit and stir it up a little bit. And if you see a spot that's really sticking together, that means that spot has a lot of color stuck in that little bit of styrofoam. And so you want to get that squished around really well. And as you stir this up, it kind of inflates a little bit. So you don't want to, when you're dividing out what you've ground, you don't want to fill up a bowl. Because this was only half full, and now it's about 3/4. Now this is a little too pink. I want to try and make it a little bit more purple. So I am going to add, let's see if I can get a drip. Oh, this one's dripping nicely, except running down the side. And it's not, once you get all the color added into them, they're not as staticky as when you first make it. Now I think that this purple is going to just wind up quite pink. And so if I want to make it darker, I can put a little blue and red in there to make a darker purple. But I still have chunks that need to be mixed in. Oh. And that's the biggest thing. You don't want to go too fast. If you go too fast, it just likes to make a mess. So that's how you mix it. So I'm going to do the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And then I also want to make a brown. So let's try the brown. I'm going to mix. I thought I had an empty container here. Guess not. Nope. Okay. I don't want to try and mix the brown right in the styrofoam, because I'm afraid, you know, to mix brown, you mix blue and orange. But I am afraid that if I try and mix it in there, I'm going to just have blue bits and orange bits, and it's not actually going to... Well, that didn't work very well. And it's not actually going to mix. I'm just going to have some blue bits and some orange bits, and it's not going to be brown. So I'm going to try and mix my color and then add to my styrofoam to it. And that's way too much. And I'm making a mess. These don't work the best. These bottles don't work the best for the alcohol ink. So I need to grab a napkin. And then a little bit of orange. I'm going to put a little red in there. That's just kind of making... Oh, blue and red make purple. Guess I'll have to do some more research. We'll just put a bunch of colors in there. See if it turns to brown. I don't know, I thought orange and blue made brown. Okay, I'm going to call that good enough before I just waste all of my alcohol ink. I am just making purple, and I think I'm making purple because I should have had like mostly orange with a drop of blue. Yeah, that's not working. So I'll figure out the brown later. And I added a little bit more of the styrofoam to this one this was my sample that I tried before I started. And so I want to add a little bit more blue to color the white bits that I put in there. Then I think I'll need to go and clean up my hands. Now, one thing that does work pretty well, let's try this. Rubbing alcohol works really good to clean up anything that's alcohol based, permanent markers and that type of thing. So yeah, the hand sanitizer, which has quite a bit of alcohol in it, does help pretty good. Usually I just use straight alcohol. And we'll just stir it with this funky colored stick. But that's all you do. I wanted this to be a little darker blue. I wanted to cover up some of the white ones that I put in there that didn't have any color. So if you don't like your color, just add to it till you get the color that you like. When you're completely done with all of them, let them sit someplace where they're not going to get knocked, because you don't want this alcohol to get on your carpet or on your tablecloth or your clothes, because it is a permanent ink. But you don't want to like put the lid on tightly until they get a little bit of a chance to just kind of air out, dry. And alcohol inks do dry fairly fast because the alcohol evaporates and then they're just about dry. So there we go. That's a much prettier blue. And I'm going to call that good. And when I get them all colored, I'll take the tops off and let them sit. And then I'll come back and I'll show you some things that we can do with them. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back, and I thought that I would show you a few things that you can do with your, I don't know what we're going to call it. Let's call it some foam glitter, because it really does have a really pretty sparkle to it. And you can use it the way that you would use glitter. These are all the colors that I made. You could use it like you use decorative sand. That sparkle's not showing up, but that one is sparkling just as nice as the others. We've got some green, and you could use it the way you use glitter. You can use it the way that you use Flower Soft. You can use it in your mixed media. I did darken my purple. I got a little darker than I wanted, and I did finally get the brown. So I did use a little of what I mixed up, and some orange and some red, and a little bit of yellow, and finally got the color I wanted. And then I wanted to show you, I have one here that's a few mixed colors. And if you're doing a project like when I did this one, I put just a dot of glue, put all the different colors on there, gave it a little press, and then just let it sit. Well, then when I'm done, I'm not going to be able to get those separated. So instead of wasting it, I just use a little paintbrush to get off the extras and just brush it down into this little container, because the nice thing about it is that it stays separate, like the colors stay separate. So then you'll have one for mixed color also. I've seen people like do flowers on cards, and they use this on the flowers. So I have this little twinchy here, and I put some orange on the sun and some red on the wings, and then I put it on and just kind of let it sit till it dries, and then put it back in its color. But if I'm using more than one color at one time, then I can put it in this box. And then once that's dry, I could go around the wings with another color if I wanted, put some brown on the body. I could maybe put some yellow around where the sun is. There's all different things that you can do with it. So here's a little inchy that I made. And I just made some paper out of the wax colors that we made. I just love those. I'm just using those a lot lately. But and then I just used one of our stamps, and I used our stamps for that also. I made some flower stamen by just dipping the string. This is just our twine. I dipped it in glue and then dipped it in the Flower Soft, and then I just hung it up on my bead dryer to let it dry. So I just kind of hung them over the thing like that and let them dry. So you can use them on the edges of flower petals, and it just gives it a little sparkle and a little dimension. You can use it in the center of a flower. Probably should have used something other than red, or maybe a different color flower, but it looks pretty, and it's nice there. So, but yes, that's what I did with my different foam glitters, star foam glitters. And so when you use it, if you make some and use it, I'd love to hear the ways that you use it. It's fun to play with. So, and for next week, what we're going to need is we're going to need some artificial flowers. And so these are kind of a medium size, and they come in a nice bunch, because we're going to take them off and use the flowers separately. And I bought a small bunch, and I got whites because we're going to color them to make them any color that we want to make them. And I picked up some fibers, and I picked up some flat back pearls, and I also got white so that I could dye them any color that I wanted to. So when I first started, everybody was making things and they were putting flowers on it, and I didn't have any of the fabric flowers, and so I had some bunches of like pink and white flowers, so I just pulled them apart and dyed them with my alcohol inks, and that's what I used for a really long time. And actually I still color my own flowers a lot, because I want just the color that I want, and that way I can get it. And then I don't have a whole big bunch of red when maybe I only need 2 pieces. You know, this way, this is a bunch of red, blue, green, orange, whatever color I want it to be. So that's what we'll need for next week: a couple of bunches of white flowers, and some fibers, and some flat back pearls. So that's $4. That leaves us with $1 to put in our bank, and that leaves us with $14.50 in our bank. I hope that you enjoyed the video for today. I had fun making these, and I had fun playing with them. It is a bit messy. Oh, and one tip that I wanted to give you. when you go to the doctor or to the dentist, I got these from my dentist, but if you ask them for rubber gloves, they'd be happy to give you a pair. And so that way you'll have some, in case you don't want to get your hands all dyed. I still have a little bit on my hands that I can't get off, but it'll come off eventually. It doesn't really bother me. So, but thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.